And then yesterday, a bunch of Trump supporters stormed Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
And did a little Chaz of their own that bore a striking resemblance to many of the other Chazes we've seen.
Yeah.
Last year. I was thinking about how the real horseshoe theory is that, like, the warlords of all these extremist political demonstrators end up looking like Dr. Seuss hat ass Burning Man people.
Yeah, no, I was really disappointed to see that right-wing aesthetics are just as gay as left-wing aesthetics. Just a bunch of people wearing stupid-ass Spencer's Gift costumes. I had to... so I guess crowds stormed the Capitol building in protest of Kim and Kanye's divorce.
I was surprised that they got divorced.
I'm not.
I should have seen it coming, but I guess I thought... I don't know, he's religious, she seems loyal. I thought they would have worked it out.
Yeah. I was more like, he's black, she's Armenian. There's a lot of
let's call the whole thing
family-oriented traditionalism happening. No, I mean, I think they stuck it out for like very long in celebrity dog years. And they have a bunch of like really cute kids to show for it. So it's not a total failure of a marriage.
Yeah.
But so I guess the crowd stormed the Capitol building. I had to Google whether the Capitol building was different from the White House.
Yes.
That's another thing I Googled last night. Because I was like, no, not Melania's Christmas decorations. Because, those are still up,
We have both had a lot of questions, for sure.
Yeah.
The Capitol Hill is where Congress does their business.
It's where they convene, yeah.
Which I thought was cool initially. I thought it was cool when that guy went in Pelosi's office and took some selfies. I would have done something similar. I was happy for them. They seemed like they were having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was very carnival-esque.
Yes, exactly.
Rabelaisian. Initially I was like, fine with it. The Congress or Capitol Hill is where the Babadook known as Nancy Pelosi stalks. So I was like happy to see her office being defiled and vandalized.
Yes.
She deserves it. But ultimately, I think all of this feels very fake and gay to me.
Agreed.
I don't even know if do we even know for sure if these are like necessarily even right-wingers or Trump supporters? Like, who knows anymore? Everything feels so like psyop.
Exactly. Everything feels like a crisis actor scenario. Well, because
there was that
immediately people started pointing out that the police were not as brutal to the Trump protesters as they were to the BLM protesters. There was like lots of contradictory videos floating around. I was, I guess, astounded but not surprised by the hypocrisy kind of on both the left and the right of sanctioning some forms of political uprising and violence and condemning others.
Yeah.
Some of the same people who were calling for like abolishing the police were now like bemoaning that the police weren't being brutal enough. When the unwashed masses lacked the ideological convictions of like BLM people. It is weird that a relatively small crowd of like unorganized marauders were able to break into Congress. That does seem suspicious. That does make the whole thing feel like a weird psyop.
It does. But I think I don't know what to think as a career shoplifter.
Yes.
Since Reformed, I know how easy it is to get by security. Never attribute to malice that which could be attributed to incompetence or stupidity. And never attribute, I feel like everything is kind of way more incompetent and retarded than people think it is. Mm-hmm. But also, I could be totally wrong. And there, you know, like I saw like, or somebody mentioned, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to watch this clip that like apparently Jimmy Dore, the guy that we met briefly in New Hampshire when we were interviewing Tulsi, he screened a video on his show of cops, of Capitol Hill cops letting people in.
Yeah, I saw that video as well. But then I also saw videos that did look like relatively violent clashes between police and protesters.
Yeah. This feels like that time that Putin blamed the Chechens for blowing up those apartment buildings. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess, of course, like the liberal narrative is going to be that the cops are in cahoots with Trump, like the law and order state, and they were making it easy for his supporters. I feel like they're probably more in cahoots with the DNC and the GOP, and moreover are doing whatever is expedient for them as an organization. And like, as someone else pointed out, I mean, maybe the strategy here is like to let these people in to discredit Trump under the banner of insurrection and to inflame the left under the banner of like white privilege. You kill two birds at the same time, you know?
Right. And then using the threat of insurrection to justify like increasingly authoritarian anti-insurrection measures.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, there are certain things like, you know, people were pointing out that the Viking guy is like kind of a protest ambulance chaser.
Yeah. Someone found his like backstage casting profile.
Oh, okay. So he's literally a paid crisis actor.
Well, I actually I think he is an actor. But I don't think he's like, I don't think like the CIA is casting him off of backstage to do their bidding. I think he's more so just kind of like a useful idiot.
Right. Yeah. The guy next to him had like a hammer and sickle tattoo, as other people pointed out.
Yeah, it was very all over the place.
A lot of people were asking me if the Viking guy was a 1 or a 0 on the binary, and I was like, dude, like, I don't care if he has a 6-pack. There's nothing more revolting than a man who voluntarily dons a costume to show up to protests.
To wear a funny hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's very difficult to parse reality. So the only really useful conversation to have is sort of to conduct an analysis of like media narrative building.
Yeah.
I watched some CNN and MSNBC yesterday, and they, you know, predictably were talking in this very like horrified, hysterical tone about what a depressing day and what a, you know, it's like the 9/11 of MAGA protests. They really sort of doubled down on what they've been doing for the last 4 years of like the deplorable narrative. Anderson Cooper made a weird comment about how all the protesters were going to go eat at Olive Garden later. And then I watched him talk over the sort of the live feed footage of people literally like milling around. It was literally people like standing around and Anderson Cooper attempting to describe their activity as some sort of neo-fascistic threat. He was like, they're high-fiving, they're wandering around aimlessly.
Anderson Cooper, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
No, Anderson Cooper like thinks he's like the human pastis or something, but he is the human Olive Garden. He hosts the socially distanced New Year's live show with Andy Cohen.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like lumpen whisperers.
He's thoroughly middlebrow.
Yeah, and like they like those comments just like show such a contempt for the poor, and also reveal the full extent of liberal ignorance, because what they're really lashing out at, I mean, they hate and are repulsed by poor people. I said that in that Spiked interview that I got a lot of flack for, and I 100% stand by it, but like they're also, what they're really repulsed by, what really gets them is like the kind of upper left of Michael Lynn's horseshoe. So like the small businessmen that are locked in battle with like the PMC, they it's not so much that they hate the economic working class, which they totally do, but they also just hate working class culture, which is not necessarily economically determined at this point. Like they hate affluent people with working class kind of sensibilities just as much as they hate poor working class people.
Right. Olive Garden is an apt kind of symbol for Cooper to use because it's not like it's that inexpensive. They have unlimited breadsticks, but it's like it's basically like a middle class establishment.
Yeah, it used to be like everything in American culture, Sears, Bloomingdale's, or whatever. Like it's fallen in prestige.
Well, okay, leave Bloomingdale's out of your mouth. Okay.
But I mean that like it's funny to like see people like I was at the doctor and CBS was on and this stupid bitch anchor woman was like, "Do you think Trump incited the insurrection?" Like the word of the day was insurrection.
Right.
And I was like, first of all, turn this off. This is like the waiting room.
Well,
of, like,
insurrection and
office.
coup also.
Yeah.
Lots of people were
like,
very quick to call this a coup, which I don't think it is because they clearly didn't have any. It was not an agenda. It wasn't organized. It was like it seemed like they basically walked in and then walked out.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people being like, well, at least the right-wingers know how to organize a protest. At least they made some gains. They stormed the Capitol building. What were you guys doing? Looting Targets or whatever? And I was thinking, like, okay, they stormed the Capitol building and then they took selfies in Nancy Pelosi's office. Like, nothing happened.
They
like
put
a
MAGA
blip
hats on some statues and, like...
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, but everybody kind of like framing this as like a coup or an insurrection, like that's the real coup. It's the control of the information channels and the cultural meta narrative. Like I'm going to just repeat myself over and over again. Like Facebook banned Trump today indefinitely. Shopify took down the MAGA store. The levers of power are all aligning against him.
Twitter suspended him for 12 hours.
Yeah, they did. They even suspended him. I thought they were just deleting his tweets.
No, I think that he got a suspension because
you don't even.
Yeah, the narrative is that he incited this violence by talking incessantly about election fraud. And
I mean, he has to talk incessantly about election fraud to like galvanize his followers and to not come out of office looking like a loser.
Well, that's the argument, is that he galvanized his followers into a violent, goofy ass insurrection.
Into a violent siege that lasted like 3 hours.
I mean, it's even hard to find out how many. I was trying to get like a count of how many people were there. And there were many sources that said like hundreds and then some that said tens of thousands.
Yeah, 1,300.
Yeah, it seemed like it couldn't have been more than 2,000. And from much of the footage I saw, it looked like basically like a couple hundred.
Yeah, it didn't. It looked pretty sparse, thin. Yeah, I mean, like, I think, like, you know, like, as someone pointed out to me also, this is a lot like Charlottesville 2.0, to which I would reply that, yeah, it is like Charlottesville in the sense that it's a total blip on the radar that's going to be heralded as a flashpoint to like justify future austerity and censorship measures.
Well, I feel like Glenn very presciently sort of foretold this when he came on our pod after Election Day, and we asked him what the libs were going to do without the specter of Trump to sort of scapegoat. He said that basically he predicted that they would find like some fringe mentally ill extremists to overinflate a fascist threat. to say, see, like, fascism is alive and well. Look at all these unwashed masses trying to take violent control of our government.
Yeah.
This is why we have to. I mean, I also heard on CNN a bitch anchor lady talking about how, like, Democrats and Republicans used to differ on ideology and policy, but now that the real division was between people who understood reality and people who couldn't grapple with facts. Mm-hmm. And that kind of, whenever the media is sort of appealing to some universal truth that their dissidents fail to fall in line with, that's very scary.
Yeah, and it's like all of the like, there was a swift and unanimous condemnation of these people by the media, even though no such condemnation happened with the BLM protests. I don't want to make stupid comparisons because I feel like truffle swining for like hypocrisy is the lowest form of discourse, but it's really interesting how that went down.
Well, the hypocrisy is flagrant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, I'm also like, I said this in that interview with Nicolo Fisted by Foucault, like, it really feels like we've entered kind of a new segment, a new era. I don't want to also, I'm like very leery of labeling anything as new because I think it differs maybe mostly on an aesthetic or symbolic level, but we've entered this new phase where everything is like out in the open and people are not, like, the ruling elites are not even trying to hide things, they're flagrantly rubbing it in our faces, asking us to like rationalize the contradictions or whatever, and it was just like a disgusting and pathetic display from the mainstream media companies and the political rulers.
Yeah.
And elites. Like, Ed Markey had a tweet with almost 100,000 likes. Donald Trump is responsible for the coup that is unfolding in the Capitol. He's a fascist and a direct threat to our country. To which, like, Marianne Williamson chimed in, we get that, Senator. We're hoping that you and your colleagues are going to do something about it. And I was just like, Marianne Williamson, I think, is the perfect person for our moment because she looks great. She sounds great. She says all the right things. She manages to package mundanities as novelties, which is like the great talent of all self-help gurus, And I think she's like really kind of incredibly attractive and appealing to us image-conscious women and gays. And we really want to believe. But like, if you peel back the layers and engage with what she's actually saying, everything falls apart. Like, it's so incredibly retarded and misleading, Wow. She sounds the part, looks the part, but she's on their team at the end of the day. She's on Markey's team, not on the team of the people.
Right. Well, because what they're going to do about it is kind of heighten the machinations of censorship.
Yeah.
Authoritarian, bipartisan rule, really.
Yeah, no, totally. And like, I tweeted and deleted, I responded to them and I was like, you guys should watch the video on Trump's timeline where he's literally telling people to go home and keep the peace. And I like didn't want the trouble, but I stand by what I said. It's like, okay, yeah, I understand the argument that he's dog whistling to his followers and saying things that he doesn't really mean and they're reading between the lines. But those people don't really respect the mainstream channels of information anyway, and they're going to get the dog whistle anyway.
Well, they also shouldn't, because the mainstream channels of information sort of confirm their bias by censoring any dissident language.
Exactly.
And I think I was watching the news when he made that video, and it really seemed like there was nothing he could have said that would have been adequate. It was like, regardless of any statement that Trump made, they would have found a way via Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
To confirm their bias again, that he was dog whistling and inciting violence.
Yeah, and it's like, literally in the literal sense, he is telling people to go home, disband, de-escalate. And they're censoring a sitting president, citing the risk of violence while laying the groundwork for future violence and division. Because it's like, it's ridiculous. I don't care what you think of Trump. It's ridiculous to censor a sitting president.
Yeah.
And then to complain that he's like launching a coup. He's not launching or inciting a coup. They're launching and inciting a coup against him. And, every time I say this, people are like, you're a Trump supporter, which, like, I don't even know how to, like, respond to those kind of people because they're so far gone. Mm-hmm. They're such victims out of their own, like, psychic cowardice and confirmation bias. Like, I'm not defending Trump because I love him and I want to see him be the president forever. If it looks like I'm defending him, it's because he's totally disposable and irrelevant in all of this. Mm-hmm. He was a useful figure for the time being, and it's like this is a total reconsolidation of power. And it's like literally Emrata was tweeting about this. Mm-hmm. Like the tech firms taking, like everybody's wise to the fact.
Well, I think also much, I don't know, like the BLM protests and the civil unrest over the summer, the election fraud is really just kind of like a red herring for a general political uprising against the status quo in a government that has completely failed. Like, everyone ought to be storming the Capitol, and it's the fact that people are so caught up in these kind of partisan divisions and delusions about dog whistling and white supremacy and stuff really obscures that it is in everyone's sort of collective best interest to be storming the Capitol and to be holding Congress people accountable.
Yeah.
For a massive failure.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's ridiculous to me that, like, kind of ordinary people are vilified as, like, disruptors of democracy, and the elites are lionized as like, defenders of democracy.
Yeah.
Like, all the vitriol, the hatred should be toward
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. I liked the angle where people, of course, were kind of like the worst libtards were freaking out about how excited Putin was, because he orchestrated all of this, obviously.
Oh, I missed that angle. I had to disengage at a certain point.
Yeah. And somebody shared a video of him at, like, Mass lighting a candle because it's Orthodox Christmas. Like, he literally didn't give a shit. He was just, like, going to church. I mean, he probably thinks all of this is really funny, and I don't blame him.
I mean, it's exhausting, and I think that we can expect to see more of the same.
Yeah.
But probably with increasingly brutal crackdown.
Yeah, I mean, everybody seems to, like, nobody cared about the woman who was, like, shot in the neck with a rubber bullet and died.
Police shooter? Is that what?
Yeah, I think she was shot by a Capitol Hill cop, but, again, like, nobody, there was this parallel between the kind of, like, BLM protests. I think, like, the big, like, I guess, parallel for me is that none of these protests are really about what they claim to be about. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the feature of contemporary protests, like, the chief feature. Like, this protest is ostensibly about, like, the fact that the election was stolen from Trump and that there's been a media conspiracy waging against him for the last 4 years. But really, it's about COVID lockdown disenfranchisement.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean by by the election fraud and, like, the protests over the summer being red herrings, really, for
Yeah.
a shared disenfranchisement of the
Yeah, and, like,
majority of the country.
Well, right, yeah, and the George Floyd protests, yeah, they were definitely not about George Floyd. They were probably not about Black lives. They're also about COVID, lockdown, disenfranchisement, and, like, deaths of despair. And, like, I think, like, another feature of contemporary protests is that attacking the physical environment no longer poses a threat to the power structure. Like, we saw how quickly this was mobilized and demobilized. They just factor any sort of, like, property damage into their calculus.
Right. And the symbolic gains are really overshadowed, because you could make the case, right, that much like looting a Target, storming the Capitol is sort of like a symbolic gesture of people sort of rising up against capitalism or against a failing government. But really, the symbolic gains are just overshadowed by how political violence legitimizes state violence.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that these protests also exist for social media.
Well, yeah, that's also
They exist to be, like, shared in images, like, kind of, it's like, the beauty of war, the beauty of protest. There's all these, like, images of, like, shit burning to the ground and people wearing fatigues, like, running around, and, like, I don't know.
And they're compelling, but in the same way that I think people are really quick to dismiss protesters on the left and right as sort of useful idiots or tools, I think even engaging with these narratives, you're, like, offering yourself up to be instrumentalized.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. And also the two sides, like the only two sides that we can have in this country have way more in common with each other than either side would care to admit.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, they're responding to the kind of same inputs, and coming up with the same, like, conclusions ultimately, even if they're not always, like, rationally expressed.
And they ought to feel solidarity with one another rather than being so quick to kind of hypocritically illustrate, in this case, like, the lack of police brutality or something.
Yeah, but the business model literally prevents them, like, by design, from seeking any sort of solidarity. And I had somebody tell me the other day that like any kind of, like, their kind of outlook was that any kind of conservative policy that does not protect and defend the working and middle class, especially in a time of crisis such as this one, does not deserve to survive. And I was like, well, the same goes for any leftist policy. Like, conservatives who are not GOP are expressing a lot of the same grievances as, like, leftists who are not part of, like, the DNC DSA complex.
By conservatives who are not GOP, you mean, like, Trump supporters?
Well, yeah, I mean, not necessarily even, but, like, people who identify as conservatives. I don't know what these labels mean increasingly.
Right, I think, like, that's also getting very lost, is that, like, the MAGA constituency is not really representative of the GOP, of Republicans.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I'm hesitant to say it's, like, a fringe movement, because it's obviously not marginal, but it doesn't really fall neatly into, like, the two-party divide.
Yeah, I mean, totally, but those are the people that are, like, kind of locked out. And I think, like, when another thing that always comes to my mind when people accuse me of, like, being a Trump supporter, I have to think, like, well, also, what's wrong with being a Trump supporter? How is it meaningfully any worse than being a Biden supporter or a Pelosi supporter?
Yeah.
Like, that's half the country.
I mean,
it's not really, but, like,
I can't imagine what kind of person would be a Pelosi supporter?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to like support any politician and be like enthusiastic about any politician. I mean, I hope that Trump leaves office and then comes on our podcast so we can talk about how we were persecuted by Shopify.
Yeah.
He should get Barron to do what we did. Just sit on the phone.
Yeah.
With Shopify and then do personal fulfillments. It's like him and Barron squatting on the ground.
Mailing out MAGA hats.
Yeah. We should do like a collabo drop. MAGA X redscare.
I don't know, I'm too brain dead to think of a good pun, but...
I was like walking down the street, like on Canal near Soho, and saw like a MAGA hoodie and was like, damn, that looks fresh. That's even cooler than the hat.
The hoodies.
The red hoodie, yeah. It looks great.
The branding is strong. The branding will endure.
People hate his superb marketing and branding sensibility.
Did you see that Ariel Pink and John Mouse were at the coup?
Yeah, what's all that about? I mean, I know they're kind of like alt-right, I guess.
I mean, Ariel Pink's definitely been like gesturing in a reactionary fashion for some time, but they were there with Lee Moyer, that girl who made that Feeling with No Girlfriend doc.
Oh yeah.
I think she's making another documentary. I think that's why they were there. I don't think John Mouse was personally storming the Capitol building, but on my feed today, there's definitely a lot of people like renouncing Ariel Pink and John Mouse and pathetically begging them to clarify their political positions so they can continue to listen to their music, which is just, I mean, pathetic first, and then also like betrays a real just contempt kind of for art, I think.
I know.
To like demand a kind of unambiguous ideology from the artists you enjoy.
I know, you're supposed to be able to enjoy the art irrespective of the views of the artists.
Yeah.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think the way that Morrissey handled getting dogpiled for playing in Israel was the best way I've seen anybody handle it.
What did Morrissey?
Why shouldn't you play for Israeli civilians? Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but they're people too.
They like Morrissey too. There's enough Morrissey to go around.
Everybody loves Morrissey, yeah. But yeah, I don't know, like, that's always funny that, like, yeah, they're like, bro, do you even organize? Are you even a leftist? Like, holding, like, Ariel Pink hostage and asking him to, like, justify his, like, views. I mean, it's so stupid. I was thinking about, like, how stupid it is that, like, whatever it means that being an artist, just, like, identifying as an artist, or not even identifying, but being identified by others as an artist, automatically implies that you're somehow a leftist.
Right.
Like, it just goes without saying.
Yeah. Well, that's that liberal media bias, baby.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's really so stupid. And I was thinking, I know, like, people hate when I make, like, generalizations, like sweeping generalizations about Americans, and are quick to point out that I too am an American. But I was like, what does it say about our society that we're the only society in the world that, like, thinks of itself in terms of, like, high school metaphors?
Yeah.
Like bullying and, like, the lunch table.
Mean girls.
Yeah.
People are,
like,
out there getting very triggered by mean girls.
Yeah. I like that people think we're mean girls. It's like, never correct a mistake in in your favor. I like that people think I have a trust fund, or like work for the CIA or Peter Thiel or something. I'm not going to bother to dispute or refute those myths.
Yeah, well, I see lots of people speculating that we were like ourselves bullied in high school, and that this is our kind of adult vendetta or something. And I would like to set the record straight that I was not popular in high school, but but you know, I had my own thing going on. I wasn't really.
Yeah.
I've always been an iconoclast, so these sort of petty popularity contests were never on my agenda and still are not.
Yeah, I think like I was gonna ask you if you were like bullied in high school. I also was not bullied in high school.
I went to a performing arts high school.
Yeah, so everybody was like a huge fag.
Exactly. They had no one had any grounds to bully me.
Wait, what was your curriculum at a performance art high school? It's just more arts based.
It was a charter school, so it was a public school, but you had to like audition to be admitted, and then you were slotted into. I was actually a visual art major, so I went to art class every day, and my other classes every other day. Like it was like a split curriculum that way. It was a good school.
Oh, nice.
Whatever.
Yeah, that sounds great. They like measured your thigh gap with calipers and made sure that you never went over 110 pounds.
Exactly. That's where I learned all my discipline. But I graduated early because I just hated being in high school in general. I was.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, ew, I hate thinking about high school. It was like also like a meaningless blip on the radar time. It's not like a formative like moment.
Yeah. Well, Americans are in this kind of arrested development where their college and high school years are heralded as like the best years of their life. And that's why I think there's such an enduring metaphor in people's psychological, emotional, and political lives.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they are probably just like technically speaking the best years of your life because you look like an adult but lack the responsibilities of adulthood, which seems like the best case. That's why there's all these movies about like hot teens or whatever.
Right.
But it seems weird, and I was thinking about like that Welbeck thing about how like the problem isn't like feminism or other forms of progressive activism. It's that there's like a hatred for aging. It's not even a youth cult. Like it takes the form of a youth cult. It's just like in America there is this like hatred for mortality, for aging, which is a very dysfunctional attitude to have because the fact of the matter is that we're all slowly aging and dying.
Right.
So if you refuse to recognize that reality, it makes for a very depressing life.
Definitely. Yeah, I think mortality is really the big one. Americans don't have a very integrated or resolved attitude around death. And that's why...
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's weird because
they're so
on one
hysterical.
hand... Yeah, there's a hysteria. It's because it's like an unreconciled attitude because on one hand, like, everyone is horribly afraid of dying, and on the other hand, they all wish they could die. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like your weight loss regimen, your skincare routine, doing genetic testing to figure out like what if you're susceptible to some like cancer gene or whatever, and all of this is like enough to give you cancer because it ceases to be like fun and becomes like futile.
Stress is the real killer.
Yeah, it is. I watched Cassavetes' Husbands the other day, and Peter Falk says this line like right in like the first 5 minutes.
What?
That basically like stress is the thing that'll do you in, not smoking or drinking or cancer or anything.
Right. COVID.
Yeah.
Fuck, Anna.
Did you take a COVID test?
I took a at-home test, and then I'm getting another one tomorrow just to be extra sure. But I feel fine.
What's the at-home test? Is it like when you shove a thing up your nose?
They're all
okay. So all of them.
It's all stuff up your nose, basically. But the at-home one is through like a company I saw advertised on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Some like Theranos-esque lady started. And they mail you the kit, and you watch a little video, and then you mail it back to them. I will keep everyone posted on my COVID
keep
results.
us posted.
Yeah.
because we're like a human centipede, and we've all like exposed each other. And I was like, I have to go visit my mom. My mom's like ready to die, but I'm not ready for her to die. So I'm gonna do like the responsible thing. My mom thinks she's ready to die. She's like on this tip, like, I'm a boomer. I've lived a full life.
It's very Russian, yeah.
I've had 2 children. Da 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 da.
I mean, my parents are very young, relatively, and they act like they're debilitated by aging sometimes.
Wait, really? I think that's also a Russian thing.
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah. We can't read the menu. We have to wear glasses. We're getting so old. Mom's like
Russian
50.
people love those reading glasses. They love having those.
Yeah, my mom's literally like 50 years old.
Yeah, and like she has reading. Yeah, they buy. My mom was bragging to me about her reading glasses. I was like, you stupid bitch, you have like 20/20 visions. Stop playing.
But when you're in a candlelit bistro, it's hard to read the menu.
Yeah, AOC, speaking of hystericizing.
Wearing fake glasses.
She weighed in on, both she and Ilhan called for Trump's impeachment on Twitter.
Okay. On the grounds of inciting an insurrection.
I don't even know.
I mean, what would be the point at this point? We're in the last, like, week of his presidency, basically.
Yeah, I think he'll leave voluntarily.
Yeah.
He'll go through like the doggy door. But she tweeted, "I'm okay," period, like full stop.
So annoying.
I know. I was sitting there thinking like, well, you know, in the midst of this like Brad Trammell ass protest, where like Viking ruffians and like Larry the Cable guys were like bursting through the doors of the Capitol building, all I could think of was like, are AOC and her big naturals alive and well?
I mean, I wish the Women's March had that kind of audacity. Maybe they would have accomplished their resistance a little more successfully. But I guess they weren't that upset about Hillary's loss.
I wonder what Hillary thinks of this.
I'm sure.
Has anyone checked? Is she okay?
I blocked her, so I don't know. I don't get
Wait, why? And she was harassing you. I'm gonna look at Hillary's Twitter.
I've blocked Hillary Clinton, Campbot, and Kumail Nanjiani or whatever.
Wait, why did you block Kumail?
I just get, I get frustrated. I don't feel like it's good for my equilibrium to see them on the feed.
Yeah, fair enough. I never want to see. It's weird for like the roiding is unpleasant and off-putting.
Definitely.
It ain't right. It ain't. I don't think like
He looks like a fucking freak.
Yeah, it doesn't suit him.
No.
Like Indian and Pakistani guys are cute when they're like natural. They don't need to be like ripped.
When they're big naturals.
Hillary's last tweet is, "Today, domestic terrorists attacked a foundation of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power following free elections.
Okay.
We must reestablish the rule of law and hold them boring. Democracy is fragile."
Yes.
I wish it was like at least more riveting and interesting, but she can't even say anything like compelling.
It's the fatigue is really setting in for everyone, I feel.
Then she has a tweet from January 6th that's just Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, period.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. I know, yeah, people give a shit for dragging AOC, but the I'm okay period is extremely annoying.
It's just manipulative and histrionic.
Yenta behavior.
And
I'm okay. I'm just... I was scared and alone and I was barricaded, but I guess I'm okay. I wish my grandchildren would call me a little more, but I'm okay.
Imagine an actual like Puerto Rican girl being like, actually, I'm okay. Like that would never happen. And then the funniest part of the thread is that she apologized 2 tweets down, like for having a comma typo because, quote, it's been a day. It's like she really can't help those Jenny from the block bona fides. I said it wrong this time. Shining through. Like she's such a fucking spelling BS bitch, you know?
Just to clarify, I forgot to answer the correct multiple choice question on the Scantron, but I'm okay.
I know a lot of. At my performing arts high school, I obviously encountered a lot of theater ass nerds. I can really spot one when I see one.
Well, that's the biggest thing. It's like I don't forget the fact that our elites are the greatest threat to our democracy. I don't want to be ruled over by such corny ass elites.
I know. It's
like
the corniness is really trickling down too, even to our political dissidents.
Like who?
Like the protesters.
Oh yeah.
That's why the whole thing has this like obnoxious theatrical quality, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna go on my like anti-American high horse and be like, everything here has to look like a Spencer's Gifts, and then I remembered Pussy Riot happened in Russia, so I take that back.
I know, but that was the influence of the decadent West, Anna.
That's true, yeah.
Their aesthetic was very informed by the corniness epidemic.
Yeah, it sucks. It's corny because it's like commercial. It's like the cheapest thing that you can buy at like Walmart or Target. That's all it is. It's just like whatever can be fabricated on the cheap from like Chinese yardage, like surplus yardage. I don't know. Should we talk about the Pauline Kael doc?
I didn't watch it, actually.
Oh shit. Oops, that's okay.